today in Rich in Relationship. We're going to talk about
how prioritizing your marriage first can actually create synergy so that you are more functional in every other aspect of your life. In the cycle of busy, we don't do things as excellently as we can. Learn how prioritizing your partnership can bring balance. Welcome to another episode of Rich in Relationship. I'm your host, Rich Heller, and today we're talking about breaking the cycle of busy, rekindling romance amidst the chaos. And it may not be chaos. You may just be really busy, but so busy that you're kind of either feel like you're being taken for granted, or maybe your partner feels you're taking them for granted. Maybe you have a situation where you're coming home and they're saying, hey, you don't give me any attention. And you're saying, hey, I'm doing everything I can to keep this family going. You could be a provider, a financial provider. You could be a caregiver and have this feeling. This is super common. And so I want you to listen closely. Are you feeling like your marriage is on autopilot, lost amidst the daily grind of providing, caregiving, and career demands? Learn how prioritizing your partnership can bring balance. Prioritizing your partnership can deepen your connection and even enhance your ability to provide and care. When was the last time you felt fully present with your partner instead of just checking off tasks? This is a natural outgrowth, usually of having children, but sometimes people slip into it without children. The pattern here is we find ourselves feeling challenged by life in some way, shape, or form, or maybe we're feeling individually unfulfilled and we immerse ourselves in whatever it is that's keeping all the balls in the air, whether it be taking care of the household, whether it be working, whether it be both. We're in there. A better way to put it would be spinning plates. I love the spinning plates metaphor better than balls, because when we're spinning the plates, we go running over to one plate and we spin it and it's going just fast enough. And then we go running to another plate. Well, what happens when we're in the spinning plates mode is sometimes we take the plate that's our marriage for granted. And that plate's actually falling off and we don't notice it. We pretend it's still spinning, but it's not. How does this happen? We get so focused on the plates that excite us, and you would hope that your marriage would excite you, but truthfully, rediscovering excitement in your marriage after being in love is over is an alien concept to a lot of us. No one taught us about that part. We're taught in our culture about falling in love and the excitement of being in love, but nobody really teaches us how to re-engage in romance once in love is over. And so what we tend to do is we tend to dive into the things that jack us individually, the things that make us feel fulfilled or accomplished. I'll share from my own life a little. I'm a guy's guy in this, that I feel this need to have everything be running right and fixed right. And you can probably tell by my background that I'm in a different studio than I was for the first 10 episodes of this series. We're in our house in Florida, and when I got here, everything was upside down. We'd had a new roof put in, but the gutters were loaded with crap from the roofers. The irrigation system hadn't been working correctly. The lights were flickering in the garage. And so I immersed myself in cleaning out the gutters and getting the irrigation system going and fixing those lights. And I have got a whole to-do list. And every time I get one of those things done, there's something about that check mark. It gives me a little dopamine hit. And while I'm doing those things, I'm not always as focused on my partnership as I could be. My partner is off taking care of the things she needs to take care of, the things that check, give her a little dopamine hit. And it takes a conscious effort on both of our parts to sit down and focus on one another. When we go to date night, it takes a conscious effort to get off of, here are the things that I did. Oh, that's great. What are the things that you did? And get into, hey, how are you? How are you feeling? What would help you feel more supported? What would help you feel more cared for? Hey, kids are coming down to visit. What are we how are we gonna spend time with them and really focus on them and manage our lives, our businesses, and the things that get us jacked, right? This is kind of the core of breaking the cycle of busy. Right? The cycle of busy is living for the checklist. And the problem with living for the checklist is not only do we neglect our marriage, sometimes we neglect ourselves. Sometimes we don't take care of ourselves as well as we can. Sometimes in the cycle of busy, we don't do things as excellently as we could. We might have a really long, busy list. These are all things that can take away from the relationship, and it's addictive. The reason why is checking the box itself is addictive. And what happens is our relationship goes into drift. The best way to put this would be life has a current to it. And if we're not focused on swimming the current together, it can push us apart. When we're swimming together, one person can be in the lead and taking the brunt of the current while the other one's resting, and they can switch. When we're swimming together, one person might see the goal better while the other one sees the potential interruptions around them, right? When we swim together, there's a synergy that happens that where we stay on track better, we're more aware of the ecological factors, where one is resting and one is working, the other is working, the other's resting, where we're caring for one another. There's a synergy that happens that actually helps us get through the currents of life faster and more efficiently. And I want to emphasize that word efficiently. There is a synergy in our partnership. The reason why you married him, her, is because they can help you be stronger in an area where you're not as strong as you'd like to be, and you can help them be stronger in an area where they'd like to be stronger. That was part of the deal. Yeah, it was love. Yeah, it was romance. Yeah, it was a shared vision, but it's also building each other up as individuals, right? The relationship is a balance between individual growth and relational growth. So how will we recreate that synergy? What if putting your relationship first could make you a better worker or a better provider or a better caregiver? What if putting your relationship first actually helped you to take care of yourself? Well, and I want to be really clear. We need to make sure that we eat, sleep, rest enough first and foremost before we invest in our relationship, right? We can't swim strongly if we're not practicing on our own. And our partner can help us with that. So it's not that self-care supersedes partnership. It's more like sometimes we go through periods where self-care is more important. Sometimes we go through periods where partnership is important. The partnership supports the self-care supports the partnership. That's probably the best way to think about it. One of the biggest challenges for most people is when they start to go into what we call overwhelm, or when they start to feel overburdened, or when they start to feel like everything's out of control, is usually because their priorities have gotten out of sync. And our partnership can be, by prioritizing our partnership, we can help one another prioritize the rest of our lives. Supportive partnerships improve mental health, productivity, and resilience. And this is proven repeatedly by studies. Most of the couples that I work with come to me when they're in some kind of crisis. And inevitably, the crisis is the product of misprioritization individually and as a couple. Once they get back in tune in terms of priorities and start working together, not necessarily in perfect harmony, but working together in sync, synchronized, all right, then they'll be building and growing, and they'll hit some plateau and they'll need to reprioritize. And it's not unusual for couples to come back to me when they hit that plateau. Something we're working on here at Rich in Relationship is creating community resources so that while people are working towards the plateau, they've got the resources they need to work to and support, and the network of people who are focused on the synergy of partnership with them to get to that plateau, and also providing the resources that people need to break through that plateau. Strong relationships create a foundation for greater success in every other area of your life. I'm going to say that again. Your partner when that partnership is fine-tuned and crack-a-lackin', is your greatest support, your greatest cheerleader, your greatest coach, your best friend, best distraction, if you need one, and who doesn't? Come on, and I'm talking about the physical joys of life. Best distraction, they can be your handler in the ring. They can be your coach when you're on the road. They can be however their strengths and your needs fit. They can be that, but you got to cultivate the relationship. Reconnecting doesn't require grand gestures, right? I want you to get it doesn't always, unless you're in crisis, it doesn't require grand gestures. It can start with small intentional shifts, right? We punch that here all the time at Ritual Relationship. The intentional is what makes the difference in the relationship. The intentional is what makes the difference in terms of self-care. The intentional is actually what makes the difference in every area of our life. We just need to be clear about our intentions. I want you to consider what steps you need to take to reassess your priorities and identify areas where time can be reallocated. And I want you to get that if you're very busy, this is going to be the challenge. You're going to need to let go of something in order to make a little time to start rebuilding that relationship. And the time for your relationship needs to be sacred and non-negotiable. Just like our self-care should be sacred and non-negotiable, our relationship, our partnership time should be sacred and non-negotiable because these are the things that are going to benefit us most in life. When we don't take good care of ourselves, we don't function 100%. When we don't take care of our partnership, our relationship is like a car with one flat tire, everything moves more slowly. The relationship's either going to drag you down or make you move faster. If you want it to make you move faster, or if you want to move faster through the relationship is a better way to word that, then you need to allocate time. And you got to be willing to give something up. As I record this right now, I am on a screen/social media fast. This is the first screen I've spent significant time with for this week. It's a 3-week fast. I'm off of social media. I'm off of video. I'm off of gaming. I'm off of anything that might be a distraction from the rest of my life. It's not as easy as I thought it would be. I'm going to be honest. All right. We get to about 7:30 at night. And typically my partner and I might watch a little television together. And now we sit down and we read, we chat a little, we talk about what's coming. It's changing the whole intention, energy, vibe of our evening. And I might keep it this way because honestly, she doesn't seem to miss it any. And I'm not jonesing too much. But what I've done is I've given up the time that I spent randomly going through Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, Instagram, TikTok, and I've given up watching whatever kung fu movies or whatever or romance movies we've been watching, and we're just spending time together. I want you to imagine creating a partnership that feels like a safe haven. All right. When you go home, it feels like a safe haven. Sometimes I remember times in my life where the only place that felt safe was like the gym or the dojo. And I got a martial arts thing going on. Those were the only places that felt safe, or meetings with other groups, communities that I was a part of. Going home felt like, oh my God, there's too many demands there. Imagine creating a partnership where that's your safe haven, where it doesn't feel like a demand anymore. Imagine where going home and relaxing with your partner is what you look forward to. In order for that to happen, you need to create the framework and the foundation for it. You're going to take these little increments of time. And the first thing I would suggest is make a declaration to your partner. We have a program for men who want to recover their marriage. And the first thing they do is they make a declaration. And the public declaration, it allows their partner to hold them accountable. So declaration works great in partnerships. It's where you articulate your intention. Go to your partner and say, "Hey, I was listening to this guy on this podcast talking about relationships, and he's saying that I might be empowered if I focus a little more on this relationship. So I want us to spend a little time every day just having some caring communication. If the communication is anything that doesn't feel caring to you, please let me know, because I only want to have caring communication with you for the 5 minutes a day that we do that. And start out with small increments. There was a time in my life where I had trouble meditating, and I went to this monastery. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go there and they're going to teach me how to meditate. And so for an hour and a half in the morning, I'd meditate, an hour and a half at night, I'd meditate. And then we do mindful work on the property, very spiritual. So at the end of the weekend, I went to the abbot and I said, Dido, this has been amazing. Oh, I feel so much clearer. I want to continue this practice in my daily life. And I've tried in the past, and 20 minutes in the morning just seems impossible. And Dido said to me, why don't you try 1 minute? Just get in the habit of, for 1 minute or maybe 5 minutes a day, you know, you could just, in the first week, just set up a place every day, spend 5 minutes setting up a place where you're going to sit. And then the next week you could sit without actually meditating. And then the week after that, you could actually meditate. And then when you start doing that regularly, you could increase the time a little bit, right? That's what I want you to do with your relationship, because it's going to, first of all, when you say to your partner, I want to make this a safe place for us both where we can support each other, they're not going to believe you right away. Oh, their lips might say, "That sounds great," but unconsciously, they're gonna be like, "What's going on here? Have they been cheating on me? Are all my worst fears coming true?" They're gonna have a number of unconscious reactions. So, just like in that experience I had with meditation, you're gonna need to show them that you mean what you say by taking that time. When I did this with my partner, I had to actually it felt like to me, strong arm her into taking the time. I had to remind her, "Hey, I said I really want to spend this time with you. Could we spend it?" And sometimes she wouldn't be ready. And I'd ask her, "All right, so you let me know when," and she wouldn't do it. But every day I went to her and said, "Hey, this is the time we said we were going to have caring communication. Let's talk." And after a few days of her unconsciously avoiding it, I said to her, "What's going on? I really want to have this time with you." And after a brief conversation slash negotiation, she agreed to have it, and then we started having it more regularly. So it might take trying to do it before you actually do it. I'm just warning you, it sounds so easy. You go up, you make a declaration, and you do it. Well, there might be resistance on your partner's part, and you need to get, at the time, I thought that there was something wrong with her. But now, in hindsight, I understand that I had made it unsafe for her in some way. And she thought that the 5 minutes a day was an ambush. She didn't like sit there and think, oh, Rich is such an hostile ass. He's going to ambush me. Unconsciously, she didn't feel safe. And so unconsciously, she avoided it. And so she has some great excuses. Oh, I forgot. Oh, I was busy doing this. Oh, I'm so sorry. And I needed to call her out by saying, "Hey, it's really important to me to have this time with you. I love you and I care about you. I know those conversations in the past always haven't been positive for you. And just promise me that if it's not positive for you in some way, you'll let me know so I can stop and I can start over with you, because I want this to be I'm building a positive foundation for us." And over time, we built that positive foundation. And it was the beginning of moving from a relationship where we were leading parallel lives. Yes, I too led parallel lives. That's why I do this work, to one where we feel intimate, caring, and close, and want to be closer together. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. This is about consistent small actions, is what I'm telling you. So, balancing life's demands with nurturing the relationship may feel challenging at first. It's going to be a little bit like drug withdrawal almost, because there is a dopamine hit that comes with check. So the first suggestion, if you're having that checklist experience, is sit down with husband slash wife. Check. Give yourself a check mark for it. Celebrate the small wins together, right? Then you'll start to get that positivity and dopamine hit from nurturing the relationship. As you begin to do that, that relationship nurturing is going to lead to deeper connection. It's going to lead to greater joy. It's going to lead to working through the hard stuff together and feeling like you're pulling together. And it's going to lead to greater personal fulfillment because you will help one another to be more personally fulfilled. I recently went to my partner and said, hey, I would really like to talk about my work with you. And you know where she went was, is this going to be about criticizing me for not talking about your work with you? And I said, no, I'm really just looking for your help. And so we've been edging into that together. So I'm re-emphasizing to you that if you've been leading parallel lives, part of the reason is it hasn't felt safe enough yet to lead a completely shared life. And just like my own journey from parallel life to shared intimacy, there may be some resistance on both sides, and that's okay. Our job is in laying the foundation is to make it as safe as possible for the other person. Our job is when we feel hurt to get that that's us feeling hurt. It's not their fault that we feel hurt. It's that some hurt in us has been tapped. Our job is to continue to lighten our load, keep our side of the street clean so that it feels safe enough for them to come out of their shell and stop poking at us or whatever it is they've been doing. If you like what you're hearing, or if you feel like your partner needs to hear this message, share it with them. Subscribe to Rich in Relationship. Lots more good information coming. And we've got one more episode left in this series, and we're going to start a new one. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful day and an awesome tomorrow.